All right, hello. Welcome to Ulu's Coffee Break on legal programming for immigrants with Kathy Ladell for work she did while she was at the Northlake District, Library District. Not at my desk today. I'm in South Carolina in my grandma's spare bedroom. So, hello. And here's Kathy. I'm just going to hand you over.
Thanks, Lauren. Um, this is the work that I did at Northlake Public Library District in Northlake, Illinois. I'm currently an academic library outreach librarian at Northern Illinois University. So this is a program that I did probably like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the community of Northlake, and then I'll go into Illinois' temporary driver's license. So Northlake Public Library District is west of Chicago, about by 15 miles, and it includes Northlake, Stone Park, and unincorporated Lighton Township. And so about a third of the population are foreign-born from Mexico, and between 50 and 60% of our patrons speak Spanish at home. So my job was, as an outreach librarian, is to do outreach to Spanish speakers, but also to do to develop the collection. So the idea for legal programming came about because I had a sense that there was patron concern. Obviously, some of our patrons are not documented, and the laws within Illinois and nationwide were changing. And I wanted to help our patrons because there isn't any nonprofits really close by that don't charge, that are low cost or free legal service. Most of the large nonprofits are in Chicago. So the Illinois Temporary Driver's License, or TVDL, the state of Illinois passed a law allowing undocumented immigrants a temporary driver's license. There's at least 10 other states by now, there might be more in the District of Columbia, that actually have a temporary driver's license program. So the state of Illinois, since actually 2005, has issued licenses for foreign students and long-term visitors. So the newest law that happened in 2013 were specifically for people who are undocumented. So the law was passed in January 2013, and the state began to accept applications in November. So there's 500,000 people that actually qualified for a temporary driver's license. And the temporary driver's license are actually very distinct from a permanent driver's license by the way that the color, as well as not being valid for identification, which means that someone could not use their temporary driver's license to like write a check or other things. It's specifically made, excuse me, it's specifically made only for driving. So I contacted the Illinois Coalition for Immigrants, Refugee Rights. This is a large Chicago-based nonprofit. They've done several other programs like Dream Relief and American Citizenship Project. They actually hosted a really large deferred action event when President Obama wanted to regularize the status of young people who are undocumented. And they had that at Navy Pier, I think it was in 2013 or 2012. And there was like probably at least 10,000 people that showed up for that event. So I knew that the Illinois Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Rights have lawyers that work for them and really have a good, strong reputation. So for the presentation, the Illinois Temporary Driver's License, it was an hour presentation in the evening. And so I did some outreach with Facebook, um, our website, and flyers in the library, as well as talking to people. There was no registration required. And I like to do that because sometimes people don't want to be identified if they are undocumented. And in this type of setting, it wasn't like a lecture style presentation. It wasn't imperative that people, signed up so that we would have enough, materials for them. So the applicants for the temporary driver's license, the requirements for documentation were name and date of birth, current address, written signature, and proof of 1-year residence in Illinois. Those were the requirements. So, excuse me. So people that were going for these driver's license had to do the same vision, road tests, and written tests, and show proof of car insurance, as well as $30 for the license. So, and you'll see below on my slides, there's the standard driver's license to the left for Illinois, and then the temporary driver's license on the right. So they look very, different in the color. And you'll notice below the first banner, it says not valid for identification on the temporary driver's license. So, so there's obviously advantages to have a temporary driver's license. We had a reporter at the time for the local newspaper. He interviewed people after the presentation, and really, for our patrons that didn't have a driver's license, it meant driving without constant fear of being pulled over and then paying a fine, possibly. I think that's what usually happens. And also for law enforcement, it's a savings for jail space and time spent. And it also provides people with education about the Illinois driving laws. And also a benefit is that car insurance is a requirement. So if someone is pulled over who has a temporary driver's license and does not have car insurance, their license is actually revoked. There's some obvious drawbacks to the temporary driver's license. It can't be used, as I said before, as proof of identity. There's a possibility of deportation. They do a thorough background check of people, and that's related to Homeland Security. And the licenses aren't actually issued immediately because of the extensive background check that they do. It's not issued to someone after they've taken the vision and the written and then the road test. So the state of Illinois had some administrative challenges of the temporary driver's license. The volume of people, it was, the volume of people applying reached 500,000. So the state of Illinois at that time was only able to process maybe 100,000 people a year. And this was in 2013. There was significant wait times to get an appointment. Some patrons who aren't computer literate had a lot of difficulties, calling in and trying to get an appointment. There was difficulties with appointments by phone. Some people, I remember helping some people trying to apply to get an appointment for a temporary driver's license online. And even then, there was people at that time that had a 6 months wait. So I'm assuming that by now the situation has improved somewhat. But yeah, the system was pretty much inundated. So that is my very short coffee break for a temporary driver's license. At the beginning of my slides, I have some contact information. My email and the university where I work at, and this was part of other a temporary driver's license was part of other things that I did at the library with deferred action. I did one short citizenship workshop. And I also have resources that are related to legal programming for immigrants. So if you'd like to contact me, I can send you those. But that's pretty much it for my coffee break. I enjoyed talking to you about the work that I've done.
Thank you so much, Kathy,
You're
for doing a
welcome.
coffee break with us today. For those of you who are watching and want to subscribe, when I get to the point where I can do it, I'm going to put the subscribe button right over that thing there, the cross-stitch clock, because that's kind of an awesome, weird thing that's up there. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for participating. Bye.
Bye.